Good evening and welcome to Surbroadcast. I'm your host this evening, Ardell, and with me in the studio this evening is a host of a new show really exciting new show that we have coming out, Malik L. Malik, welcome to the show.
Hello, Ardell.
How are you this evening?
Just phenomenal. Thank you.
Great. I thought we'd start out this evening on a personal note, and you can tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, where you come from, those kind of things.
Oh, okay. Well, terrific. I'm born here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and lived off on the west side. And one of the favorite things I always liked to do was to practice martial arts. Being my small size and things, being about 5'8".
Now you're not telling me you got little man syndrome there, do you?
Well, when you used to have to run around and have people chase you and try to whoop up on you and everything, you really had to learn how to defend yourself. And watching things like Kung Fu Theater, the thing of Kung Fu Kid, and watching superheroes and stuff, all that, I always had the type of imagination, to always wanted to be like that. And I was also raised in a Pentecostal church where we had a lot of quote supernatural things that were going on in there that I never could explain. It has been on a mission to try to break it down to be able to explain that. And also with my Kung Fu or my martial arts training, I had a lot of strange things or supernatural phenomenal things that I've experienced with that as well, and I've made a lifelong mention to be able to break that down as well. And
supernatural things, you say?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to get you on Monique's show then. She's got the uncanny, and she loves those supernatural things.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about it. I think a lot of times the supernatural is all around us,
right?
But the whole point about it is that if you don't put your attention on it, you never become aware of it.
Right.
Yeah, so when you go around a group of people that's like Monique or whatever faith or religion,
she tends to draw that kind of energy to her.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're more open to it. That's why when you go to places in Africa, South America and stuff, these people are more aware of those type of things. We can have something, whatever, demon, ghost, angel, or somebody who's higher being, whatever, go by, and we see them, but we don't acknowledge it, just simply because that's not part of our programming.
Well, do you have any siblings? Are you an only child?
Oh yeah, I have two sisters, and they're very wonderful people.
Older or younger?
Younger.
So you're
yeah.
And now you have that Kung Fu stuff that you protect your baby sisters.
Yeah. So, one thing about Kung Fu, a lot of people think Kung Fu is about just fighting, but it's not. Kung Fu, it means time and patience, and that can mean just anything, So Kung Fu, a lot of times it says, well, why don't you get into the UFC and you fight and all this other type of stuff? But it was never made for that. If you check out what Kung Fu is, it's always learned for internal healing or for internal. It was always a health-based martial art.
Absolutely.
Before it actually about defending yourself or anything else. So we learn how to cultivate the inner energy of the breath and inner energy through the foods and things that we eat, stretching, tendon ligament development, organ cultivation, just blood cleansing. I mean, it's a lot of things that go into that, which helps you to become a healthier, more well-rounded human being.
Well, wonderful, sweetie. That'll just bring us right into my next question. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your show, Health Awareness Talk?
Okay. Health Awareness Talk is about just bringing strategic solutions to people abroad. A lot of times the people may have something wrong with them. They may want to know information that's going to actually help them with that. They may want to know, for example, if one of my biggest things is domestic violence is one of the number one killers among women, or what you call it these days. We just had this football player just went off and did something that he wasn't supposed to, but that's not like it's something that doesn't happen like every day. So
it just brought more of awareness because he's at that celebrity type status. Absolutely.
Right. So I'm just going to take out the time just to take a few minutes just to say a lot of times we got something called a lot of times when women are in this type of relationship, they can't leave that person. Okay, so no matter how much consultation and what you may say, that they're going to always stay with that person. So you got something called women that are in that particular situation, I tell them research something called essential oils, aromatherapy. And what that actually does is that when you wear it and you put the scent around your house and stuff, if a person's angry or if a person's upset or whatever, it helps you to put you in a calm mood of mind. And the person who is the aggressor or whatever may not even know what's going on, but all of a sudden they're in a positive frame of mind throughout the whole time that they're in that environment, which is also a wonderful thing. Another thing, on they got something called Bach flower remedies. It's something that I shared with you over the internet last week. How different flower essences that you can put in your food and your lotions and different things can actually take bad or negative feelings that are inside you and translate or transmute them over to positive feelings and positive behavior. So that's something that those two things that I ask a person really to look to who's into a domestic violent situation or a hostile environment. And the third, of course, is something called feng shui. And since I'm on the air, I'm going to let people know. Feng shui is the placement of things inside the house in order to create a more positive environment. So if you're in a domestic violent situation or if you're in a hostile environment, the three things I would like for you to do some research on is number one, essential oils, number two, Bach flower remedy, and number three, feng shui, which is the placement of things. And if you combine all three of those things together, what happens is that you're going to create a more positive environment and hopefully a more loving relationship. You turn that hostile relationship, that hostile environment, to a loving relationship and to a loving environment, and that's the whole purpose of those three things.
Well, as long as there's not drugs and alcohol involved, which tends to make people on that violent level, I think it sounds absolutely wonderful.
Right. And that's the amazing thing about those particular three levels is the person may be doing drugs and the person may be doing alcohol or whatever, but still those three things work on a spiritual, energetic level. So it helps to become detached, or even though that the person may be on drugs, if they do essential oils, do Bach flower remedy, do the feng shui or whatever like that, their energy being will come to the point where, something, I don't need this drug anymore. Something, I don't need to treat this bad person anymore. Because only thing that happens when these people hurting other people is just the fact is that you're hurting yourself.
Right. Well, and a woman that's putting up with it, because she just loves him, really, I would like to hear more about this on maybe at another time, but I would definitely like to hear what she can do, to give her self-worth.
It's the same exactly three things. Not only it works for the person that you're giving it to, those three things will work also for the giver too. So you're both are going to be cultivated by this nurturing environment. The essential oils, by me having it put me in a peace of mind. Maybe I don't want to deal with the situation anymore and I can let
absolutely.
it go. Okay?
That's my
essential
point.
Oils, you got, especially if you're married to him, is that he comes in the house and says, something, I wonder why every time I come into this house, I just don't feel angry anymore. I'm feeling this amazing sense of peace within myself. I don't have to treat this person well. It's like they're coming home to a haven, and they start to create these amazing new behaviors just from number one, having essential oils, aromatherapy, number two, having Bach flower remedies that helps to transmute a negative emotion to a positive emotion, and number three, feng shui, learning how the correct placement of things within your house to create a higher energy vibration, which can both nurture and protect you from whatever's going on.
Well, how can Surbroadcast, what is your purpose, or how can Surbroadcast help you with your show? What is your purpose, that come to us to support your show?
Okay, like I said before, when I was growing up, I studied a lot of things, grew up church, learning how to be a superhero, wanted to be a superhero, learn about inside kung fu. It's a bunch of letters, just like Batman learned a lot of stuff, and training in order for him to go out and fight a bunch of crime and stuff. I kind of took his, watched him, and I said, hey, I went and I got it certified in a bunch of stuff. They say, oh, Malik, you a hypnotist? I said, yes, I went and trained for that. Malik, you know how to heal people? Yeah, I went and I learned some training on for that. You know how to fight? I went some training from that. You learn how to develop your self-energy, because a lot of people know how to develop their muscles and stuff in order to get big. But in order to strengthen your liver, pancreas, clean your blood, and all, a lot of people don't know that type of stuff.
So you just kind of want to use Surbroadcast and have your own show to try and share your knowledge with others.
Share my knowledge with a lot of people if they have a situation that's going on with their life, to be able to provide a spirit, mind, body solution for that particular problem, something that they can do right now, and something that they can prove for themselves right now, not something that well, I just have to take your word on it. I hate it when somebody's saying that they can take my word on. It's one of the things I tell a person. I just this year I won the 2014 CKP YMCA Benchathon. I put up 405 pounds, okay? And a lot of times when people are like, oh, you do this martial arts thing and you do this internal thing, ain't really nothing or whatever like that. So I have a lot of people try to prove me with this. And I put it up, okay, if you check CKP 2014 Benchathon, you see my, for most weights lifted, you see my name. Malik L. And a lot of things people says, well, you do a lot of one-arm push-ups and stuff. Well, also one of the reasons you do that. I do it just to show you that if you put your mind to it, anything is absolutely possible. But just why stop there? I can do it with one leg up. It's just continually. It's about, life is about progression. A leg press 1,000 pounds or whatever may not look like it, but you got to continually learn how to evolve yourself as not only as a physical being, but also as a mental and spiritual one as well. And when I hit on the mental, a lot of people think it's about the certifications that you get in training, whatever, but it's learning how to keep your mind focused on what you want to achieve in life and then creating the appropriate steps in order to make it happen.
Well, let me ask you then, since you using your show to inspire other people, what inspires you?
Oh, I guess one of the things that actually inspires me is actually my family. I see a lot of the things, and I don't mean talking about my immediate family. I'm talking about my cousins, my aunts, and all them. It's certain things that I see. I see a lot of times. I see my people's not making better grades as what they should make, and I do research on and provide advice of what they can actually do for that. Michael Landon has a program out there called "Where There's a Will, There's an A." When people ask him what to do when they have diseases and stuff in their body, I say the number one thing that they need to do is about the toxins and stuff in their body, how to cleanse that out and everything. I think it's about having compassion about seeing people, seeing especially loved ones, when you see them hurt, but they're stuck in a cycle and not being able to solve the problem, and you like, well, what can I do in order to help them? And so I go and I look and I give them, just like I'm doing with the listeners and stuff out there. I do the research that's worked for other people. I just don't do off your research. I say, hey, this worked for other people. If you do it, maybe it'll work for you too. So that is a great motivation, is having compassion for others.
Well, tell me, why is it harder the older you get to stay in shape? And how can we change that?
Okay, that's a terrific question. One thing, let me ask you a question. If you don't empty your trash, if you never do empty your trash for, let's say, 5 years, you think it'll start to stink?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't release it, if you don't empty your trash for like 15 years, it will stink even worse, right?
Absolutely.
Some people haven't emptied their trash in their bodies for almost 60, 70 something years, and they're wondering why their body is so decrepit. They wonder why they're so diseased. They wonder why they have such low energy levels and things. See, our body is divided just like you have the sun and the moon, just like you have light and dark, just like you have male and you have female. Chinese tradition, we can actually call that yin and yang. Yin is being feminine, yang being masculine, whatever. We have two parts of our system. We have the cardiovascular system that deals basically with the heart, blood, and blood vessels, but also we got what you call the lymphatic system, and which is dealing with the spleen, and also for the tubes, the lymph, and also the lymph tubes and everything that goes along with that. What we've been taught a lot here in the Western society is about the cardiopulmonary system, about your heart, and about your blood and all this other type stuff, about nutrition and things. But if I ask you what type of foods did you need to eat in order to cleanse out your body and stuff, you probably wouldn't know next to nothing.
Well, for me it's something different. I said for my age I try and have always tried to stay in shape, or at least, I'm definitely not, I don't go to the gym or do all those kind of things, but eating right and organic foods and vegetarian for the most part. Not to say that I don't splurge on a good steak now and again, but for the most part, I try and stay with the fruits and vegetables.
I tell everybody, fruits and vegetables and all that stuff is actually super. But how many times I see a lot of vegans that are overweight? Okay, and it's kind of amazing. How could a person just eat vegetables and stuff and still be overweight?
Oh, honey, there's lots of stuff, the pastas and potatoes and rice. Just because, and people have that misconception, I think, for vegetarians that it's all fruits and vegetables, but it's really not. There's a lot of other, some delicious foods that you can eat, and you can get just as fat on vegetarian food as you can on yucky food.
Exactly. Well, one of the things about the people who are vegans and also for meat eaters or whatever is that whatever you put into the body, if you don't take it out, all of it's going to start to impact. It's just like a car jam. It's like when the cars get backed up and they fall one into each other, it just start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, what happens is that in the colon, when if you're not having 3 bowel movements a day, a lot of people I talk to have a bowel movement.
Are we having a bowel movement conversation right now?
Yeah, we're talking about health and fitness. That is the number one thing.
Wow.
I see long distance. I like, how the heck do you run a marathon? You're running 10 miles a day, but your stomach is still extended. Why is that? That's called an impacted colon. Okay.
Mercy.
Yes, and also an impacted lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system's also backed up, and that's what a lot of these products that you see out there, like the Seaberry Cleanse, Master Cleanse, and all this other type stuff, when they go on this stuff and they cleanse out their bodies and stuff, what happens is that their stomach actually goes down. How many people, when they're doing a coloscopy or before they go on to get an operation or something, they take the laxative and stuff, their stomach, it actually goes down. The energy levels, they actually go up. They're able to absorb all that. Our small intestines is actually twice as long as our large intestines. Okay, so what happens is that if our body is not pushing everything that we put in one end, if it's not coming out the other, it begins to back up into our small intestine, and our small intestine is directly connected to our blood supply. And those toxins and stuff begin to release from our large intestines into our small intestine, and that's what causes chronic fatigue. And not only that, but when those toxins begin to back up in the large intestine, it goes throughout the lymphatic system as well. And also, if you look at a part of our lymphatic system are in the breast for women. And this is one of the things is that it increased breast cancer, but not being on a regular basis. The only thing you need to do is to Google the relationship between constipation and breast cancer, and you'll see the relationship on that.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'm sorry, sweetie. Let me move on for the next one. Other than for bodybuilding, are protein shakes helpful? In your dietary, how are protein shakes helpful?
Well, protein,
or are they? I should say.
Yeah, protein shakes are actually it can be good for you. All right, it's the protein that's in the protein shakes is good for you. A lot of preservatives in there that you got in is not okay. To protein, your body will see it understand you got whey protein, you got casein protein, you got soy protein, you even got it's just different sources of protein and stuff that you got out there. So all the protein is actually good. Okay.
Wouldn't a couple of eggs over easy or something like that do well?
Yes.
That's my
favorite.
favorite.
But a lot of people don't like to take that with them to work. They just find it more easier. We are a fast food addicted nation. Okay, a fast food addicted people. All right. So we want it easy. All right. We get the protein shake and everything in there. It tastes good, just like a milkshake or something like that. We will stay consistent with that in order for us to build muscle. Now, is it going to be healthy? Well, it just depends on what the protein shake is actually made out of. Okay, the protein is good because our body takes the protein in order to build muscle. That muscle is going to actually increase what we call a BMR, which stands for basic metabolic rate, as the rate at which we burn calories throughout the day. So that's that's good thing. Now the preservatives and stuff in there, that's where we got the issue. That's what when it's stuck in your system, if you're not cleaning it out through your lymphatic system, through your large intestine stuff, that stuff begins to back up. and it give us liver problems, diseases, and all that other types of things. So it can be it's just like saying a lot of people saying, Ardell, they say, is salt bad for you? Now, a lot of people say that salt is bad for you. You hear that all the time, right? But the funny thing is that when you go into the hospital or something, when you get that IV, what is it?
Saline solution.
It's saline solution. Right. So is it salt bad for you? No, it's not the salt bad for you. It's the preservatives. It's the dirt that's in the salt. It's the little particles and the other stuff that's not salt that's in the salt. That's bad for you, that tears up the veins and all that other type stuff. Okay, so we go back to the question: is salt good for you? Yeah, regular salt is good for you for all the preservatives.
Well,
and
your
stuff.
Body's made a great deal of salt.
Exactly. So you got to find out exactly what's going to be good for you. You got to do your own research and find out what's good for you. And so we go back: is protein good for us? Okay, the protein is good for us, but a lot of preservatives and all that other type of stuff that they include with the protein actually is not. Okay, so that's what we have. And the thing about the salt, that's the particles and stuff that's in the salt that's bad for you, and the preservatives and everything in the protein powder is bad for you. Again, it points back to our body's ability to get rid of us, because whatever goes into the body must also go out the body. Whatever we breathe inside us must also, you must exhale and you must get out. So whatever thought that we begin to think, we also must push it out or share it with other people in order for us to expand our knowledge. Okay, so everything in the universe is nothing more than a thing of yin and yang. Okay, in, out, opposite. You must create what we call an open system, meaning that we're able to share with everything, not a closed system where you just try to keep everything else. A river that is not constantly flowing dies. Okay?
Dries up, right?
Yeah, it dries. It becomes stagnant. It begins to stink. So everything has to be open. Everything has to flow in order to produce life. And this is what we talk about in Health Awareness Talk. Learn how to produce life. Not only for me to give information to you, but for you to use this information, and then for you to share it with others. So that's how you produce life, by helping other people.
Well, I can definitely see that you're in terrific shape.
Yes.
So tell me, since you're in such great shape, how is it for someone that, obviously that doesn't go to the gym, and someone that's a little bit older? How do you get rid of these trouble spots, like, under your arms, or, most of us have that little love handles?
Well, okay, we're going to use something so simply called the law of progression. What the law of progression actually is that anytime that you start something, if you just keep on doing it over a period of days, you actually get better and better and more developed. Now, everybody carries their body with them. You see the animals, they don't do a lot of exercise. You don't see them going to the gym, working out, and all that other types. They take their bodies with them. Well, we got our bodies with us too. So there are exercises that you can do in order to develop ourselves. Like the back of this arm right here, if you look at it, it's kind of toned, don't you think? What you could do is just simply, we got a Qigong exercise that you can practice, is bringing it back like this and just pressing it like you're pressing an imaginary wall. You come back, tense your muscle. Go ahead and practice with this, Ardell. Tense your arm, right, just like this, and press. Right, take it back, press. Bring it in, and press. Bring it in, and press. Now, ooh, did you see the back of her muscle? You know what's it called? Yeah, you got that. Now, did you actually feel that in the back of your arm?
I felt a little in the back of my arm, and I felt it on the front of my arm.
Right. And Shaolin and Kung Fu, this is what we call dynamic tension.
Here, and I have these little 3-pound weights that I've been, trying to.
Well, that actually works, but Qigong is actually better than, I believe, for me, it's actually better than regular type of exercise.
It's that absolute muscle control, absolutely.
Exactly. So you be able to, when you put your mind actually on your muscle, and you learn how to, your spirit, mind, and body actually become one, just like that of an animal, okay? You learn how to move. You learn how to be more graceful. You learn how to be more healthy and stuff. I mean, I still love to lift my weights. I use weights as nothing more than a test of how strong I am internally, of my energy and focus and things, So it's not, to me, it's just about lifting weights. It's like, how healthy am I? And I like, well, how healthy am I? When I lift the weights, I says, oh, my internal energy is very high. I'm able to lift a lot of weight. Oh, my internal energy is very high. I'm able to do 75, 100 something one-arm push-ups or whatever. Oh, my internal energy is very high. But when our energy levels begin to go down, we don't feel like doing jack. Okay.
Well, I was, sometimes it's not just that, being so busy and working, sometimes 60 hours a week and better that most of us, need to do to survive. Tell me, is that one of the best ways to try and stay into shape?
Oh, yes. That is actually one of the best ways because you're doing two things. Number one, you're increasing the amount of oxygen that's in your body. You're expanding your lung capacity. And number two, well, for your mind, what you're actually doing is learning how to focus. You notice how when you was going out, you was feeling it on both ends?
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely felt that.
Again, it was yin, it was yang. You're working both sides of the muscle, just not just one side, which is a very good thing. And then number three, well, actually what we're going through that, this muscle is starting to become more developed. As time goes on, you'll be able to contract that muscle even harder and harder and harder. Now, what got me into Qigong learning that, I watch everybody here ever watch The Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
You know how they put that thing like this and he's breathing and pressing and stuff like that. That was a Qigong form that he was doing. I was like, I wonder how to do that, and I found out how. Okay, so, and it works.
So it wasn't just seen on TV.
Right.
It's something real.
Right. It is something real.
Sweet.
It's the same thing with Miyagi going this. And then he laying his hands of what you call it, transfer of energy from one person to the actual other. It actually does work, And I'll look at these things from a personal training perspective, not something that's just a happy-go-lucky type of thing. I was like, hey, if I was to break down the science of actually how these type of things work, how would it? And that's how I approach my training with people and with talk and certain things.
Well, tell me then, do older people need different nutritional it's not the same as somebody when you were younger. You can almost eat almost anything that you wanted, and as long as you stayed active and you're skateboarding and you're doing all these things, that you just stayed into shape. So as an older person, do we need different nutritional needs?
We need different type of nutritional, and you need different exercise needs than when you were back when you was younger. If you ever check out in the Orient and Asia and stuff, they always doing Tai Chi, the very slow movements and everything. We know what, yes. And one of the things that if you ever check their diets, acidic nutrition, or the foods, they're eating a lot of rice, they're eating a lot of plants.
Fish.
They're eating a lot of fish. Anything that's light on the digestion. That's what they're focusing on. They're not eating a lot of heavy things, okay? They're eating a lot of light things. Why? It's because number one thing that you need to do when you're elderly, most of us here in the Western society, compared to the Eastern society, in the Western diet, we done spent about 60, 70 years eating fast food, eating preservatives and things. So when I have someone who's older come to me, I says, yes, you spent 50 to 70 years eating a bunch of stuff that's bad for your body. It's just, again, if you haven't emptied your trash can,
not taking that trash out.
Yes,
that's right.
You haven't took out the trash in 60, 70 years, and this is the reason that you're looking the way that you need. So again, we need to focus on your large intestinal tract, your digestive system, beginning from the mouth, ending with the other end. Yes.
Yeah.
And we need to also focus on the lymphatic system, which runs complementary to your blood vessels, and then which is your blood vessels is your veins and your arteries and everything. And once we got those balanced, then your body begins to work more optimally. Isn't it amazing that when we breathe air, just fresh breath air and everything, we get energy from that? In Chinese medicine, we learn we get energy from two sources. We're primarily two choices. The first source is from the air that we breathe, our nose, right here. And the second thing that we do is from the foods that we eat, which is right up under the nose. And this is where we get our energy. And so, of course, we have the sunlight and everything from that we absorb through the skin and everything. But really, the sunlight doesn't work the way that it's supposed to if your cardiovascular system of what you eat is not on point the way that it should be. And this is why we have to put on the suntan lotion and all this other type stuff. It's because we're not healthy. Healthy people is able to take that sunlight and absorb it and transmute it over to vitamin D and different things like that. So what I tell to a person who is a senior, I say, let's focus on eating foods that help to cleanse out the body in order that you can be more healthy. Because I know you haven't been doing that, okay? Because
right.
Most of us in the Western world, we don't focus on that type of thing. But yet, if I was to take you to China, and take you to the old country in China, take you to the old country in Japan, and just have you to live with them, for 1 year, your whole body will totally change because you begin to do the things that they do. You begin to do the slow motion.
They do seem to,
Yes.
I mean, if you look at some, they seem like they're like 130 years
Yes.
old,
Yes.
and they do seem to live much longer.
Yes.
Which is going to bring me to my next question is, does mind over matter, positive thinking, meditation, does that help for a happier, healthier body?
Yes. Okay, like I was raised in the church Pentecostal. One of the things I love is the Bible, because in the Bible we learn a lot of metaphysical principles, and one of those is a man thinketh in his heart. So we say a lot of people like to think it's just the heart. The heart is a representation of your subconscious mind. Whatever that you can think in your mind, the body can't really distinguish between what is vividly visualized and what is actually happening. It's just like when we went with you yesterday with last week with the pointing situation, and your body actually went further than what it did before, right? Because you actually begin to visualize it. And I could tell a lot of people out there in land today, only thing you got to do is think about a lemon. How many of us have ate a lemon before? Raise your hand, Adele. You've eaten a lemon before.
Oh, yeah, I love lemons.
Now, I want you to think about a lemon right now inside your mind. I want you to think about the texture of that lemon. I want you to imagine that lemon in your hands. I want you to feel the hardness of that lemon. I want you to put it in your mind. Imagine bringing that lemon and putting it up under your nose.
It's making my glass water.
It's making your glass water, okay? So it's amazing thing. The lemon, it wasn't actually there. It's in your imagination, but your mind believes that this type of thing is real, and all of a sudden what happens is that it begins to manifest in your physical body. There's a lot of things out here that happens that it's not real. It could be a staged event, and all of a sudden our body produces this fear and all this other type of stuff. It's something that's just made up. It's staged. It's make believe, and now all of a sudden we create this fear within our bodies and things, and then we act on it. Okay, so whatever these media and stuff out here, they control people, and it could be a good control or whatever. It was the entertainment type thing. When we watch TV, we actually involved, and we actually with our care. I love watching 24. Okay, I love watching my movies and stuff like that. I'm actually involved. We become emotionally involved with the movie, and it's the same thing with watching the news and everything. We become emotionally involved with them, and we get to the point where our emotional intellect is stronger than what our mental intellect, and we go along with our emotions instead of going along with our intellect.
Isn't some of that, couldn't that go along with that emotional garbage as well? Wouldn't that kind of, bring you down just the same? It's not taking your trash out or, all that food that's in your system. But in your mind, it's the same thing. So meditation, at least wise I have found, it's brought me, brings more peace, gets rid of a lot of that emotional garbage.
That is so true, and you can you hit it right on the head. All of these bad situations that happens to us in our life, a lot of these type of things that's going on around in the world, we store it in our body. We do not forget it. We store it, and everybody acts differently to stress or to these imbalances. But for each thing that we store, it's like the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. We get to the point where we store so much emotional trauma, so much emotional junk that actually could give us allergy, can actually give us cancer. It breaks down the immune system, because a lot of people don't know our immune system is actually tied into our brain, to the way that we think and everything. If a person, if you're not using hypnosis or placebo, if you hang around somebody who says, "Oh man, you look like you're really sick. Oh, you look like you're not having a good day. Oh, are you feeling
so
okay?
tired.
You just look so tired." Okay, and you start to believe that, and you start to invest in that. Now, all of a sudden, what happens with your immune system? It begins to say, something, I really am feeling that way, and your immune system will start to go down, and you will start to feel like you're sick. But amazing thing about that, it also works the opposite. If someone is sick, and you do not mention to them that they're sick,
tell them how wonderful they look.
Yes. It is amazing. That is why it is such a good thing when you're at the hospital to continually be speaking good things. The Bible says that death and life is in the power of the tongue, and you eat the fruit that you speak thereof. Bible says is that faith, it comes by hearing, and hearing or repetition, and hearing by the word of God. Word of God is good. Anything that's good, that's of lovely, that's of a good report. If you continually fill your mind with those good things, again, like I told you, the human brain cannot distinguish between what is real and what is real and what is imagined. So they continually have those good things being put into them, and it goes to their heart. It goes being transferred to the subconscious mind. Now you begin to strengthen the immune system. Now we're not talking about actually healing. What I'm actually saying is that when you say positive things, or when you send positive energy towards the person, you actually increase their immune system, maybe to the point that it actually can cure the illness, whatever that illness may be. That's very interesting.
Well, at least if nothing less, you can help cure their mind a little bit and help them help themselves.
Yes, very, very good. So if you have anyone, just continually always say good things, positive things to them. And it's a very amazing thing about stress, okay? I study something called NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and that was created by John Greener and Richard Bandler. Basically, it's called the modeling of human excellence. And one of the things that you say is that if you wear a smile on your face, even if you feel bad, sooner or later, because it's anchor or every time you smile, you remember a lot of good things. People a lot of remember good things and they smile. Well, what happens if you just smile? You remember a lot of good things and you feel better. So you constantly wear a smile. Put your emotions and everything up, which will actually increase your immune system. And it's a very beautiful thing. If you check out on the Google, on internet, on Shaolin monks smiling, or just Google that, you notice that when they're fighting, they're continually smiling. And why that they're smiling? They're smiling because that's one of the ways that you increase your energy, or your internal energy within your body. You wear a smile on your face.
Yeah, well, for the most part, it just makes you look kind of smug, and it's intimidating to the other ones, saying, I'm going to kick your hiney.
Could be.
Well, tell me a little bit about, I had the opportunity to see some of your certificates that, various different unorthodox trainings that you have. Would you mind sharing some of those with me?
Okay, one of the ones that I studied was Reiki. Japanese Reiki, energy healing, and I studied that under Sensei Horace Bush here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to Horace if you're out there listening. But you can also find Sensei Horace book, Sensei Horace Bush is Bush, out on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook, you'll be able to find him, or you can just pull that up. And it deals with energy healing. Now, growing up, it was an amazing thing. I see people get laid hands, and they laying hands on the sick and they're recovering. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
Is that faith healing?
Yes, faith healing. Very interesting. Now, the funny thing about that is that it actually worked. I mean, coming from a personal training perspective, I looked at it and said, well, how is one of these things can be possible? And then I looked at various traditions and stuff out there, and I found a few things that actually worked, and they were able to break it down to me exactly how this is. And see, we all carry energy fields with us, okay? And a lot of times when a person is sick, they have a very low vibration. All right. And what funny thing is that if you develop very high vibration, and if you put their energy on them and they're accepting of you, they'll take that energy and be transferred from you to that other person, raising their energy to where that they're able to feel a lot better. And that's basically what Reiki is, all in a nutshell. But you see, you got Reiki, you got quantum touch, you got healing touch. And a lot of people look at that, well, this can't be real. But I want you to do a Google search again. Put down Reiki, put down quantum healing, put down healing touch, and put down hospitals. And the funny thing about it is that a lot of people, a lot of hospitals actually have these people coming in, helping their patients. And I said, if there was no type of factual, if this thing wasn't actually working, hospitals wouldn't have them to go there. And second thing, so this was my research or training that was behind for the Reiki or for energy healing and stuff. I just wanted to know how that type of thing worked, so I could be more consistent with people. At this type of ability, somebody has a pain, ache, or something like that, 90% of the times when I work with them, it goes away. Okay.
How about hypnosis?
Hypnosis. Okay, it's also one of the more wonderful things. Again, we went through a little short session last week, and you say, whatever the mind can imagine, vividly imagine the body, it also believes. It's the same thing with hypnosis. How do you get from one part to, when you're driving, how do you get from one where you are to the place that you're going, and you don't realize what you're doing?
We had discussed that, because there are many times when I had left work and it may be 2:00 in the morning, and I'd be just so tired, and by the time I'd get home, I swear I just didn't know how in the world did I get it home?
Mm-hmm.
My car knew the way.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you call your subconscious program. Your subconscious knows all. You've done it so many times. You've done
Right.
it subconsciously, just like you would with writing. We now, when we first started, we didn't have to. We had to learn about the A, B, C, D. Then we learned how to write the words. Now we learn how to write sentences. Now it's just a part of our subconscious mind. We think it, our hands write it. And it's the same, exactly the same thing with hypnosis. With hypnosis, whatever, what you're doing is that you're actually writing down. You starting off. Okay, well, I'm going to learn how to simply relax. Well, I'm going to learn how to get into the state of mind and begin to vividly visualize. Because a lot of us can't vividly see ourselves being healthy, can't vividly see ourselves being successful. But the more you practice, just like you did with your handwriting, just like you did with first learning how to ride a bike, just like you did with driving a car, just like you did with anything, like you get better at it. To the point is that you'll be able to go through self hypnosis. Another word for self hypnosis is called auto hypnosis, because it's just like driving a car from point A to point Z, but you don't know how you got there. You just had the intention.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm really excited about what you have to say and what you have to offer in this new show of yours again. Again, the show is called Health Awareness Talk with Malik L. And I hope everyone has enjoyed the show this evening, because I certainly have. I've learned a lot, and I hope everyone else has. And before I do close the show this evening, I just want to ask you, can you really do 75 to 100 push-ups one-armed?
Oh yes, and I'll be willing to show anybody at any time.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Malik, and I had a really good time.
Thank you, Ardell.
Good night.
Good night.